From the beginning of time, the physically elite have captured our imaginations with fact or fable, taking shape for some as David, Goliath, and Hercules. The Greeks found a way to incorporate this fascination into a way of life as early as 776 BC. 2,000 years later, in 1948, the average person was facing and overcoming many hurdles in order to survive the aftermath of 2 world wars. By leaping over little wooden hurdles, Theresa A. Manuel wrote her name on the pages of history as Florida's first African-American woman Olympian. On January 7, 1926, Theresa A. Manuel was born, and thus began this story of a winner's journey.
When I was a little girl, my stepfather was coaching a boys' baseball team, and he started coaching the girls' softball team. And the boys used to come by our house, and they taught me how to throw the ball and bat. And when he started the girls' softball team, I was the youngest one on the team.
Theresa's introduction to sports came as she sat on the sidelines, watching her stepfather, Charlie Johnson, coach his baseball team. By starting her girls' softball team, Coach Johnson spotlighted Theresa's natural athletic ability, and he added her to his roster as the youngest team member. With a solid love of sports, she turned to basketball and found her niche.
Miss Manuel's main sport was basketball. She started playing basketball at Middleton High School, and she related to me that their basketball court was on the outside, and at night when they would be playing, they didn't have lights, and the neighbors would bring their lamps over with long extension cords and light up the playing field for them so they could practice their basketball.
Her years as the Middleton High School undefeated basketball team's superstar was all she needed to set in motion a lifetime of winning. Her talent crescendo broke multiple records at Tuskegee Institute. As her sport of choice, she scored 57 points in one basketball game. She was hot.
Oh, some friends from high school used to call me, they used to call me Trixie. And when I got to college, our ball boys started calling me Trixie. They said, no, not Trixie Lou. So he started calling me Trixie Lou, then Trick Shot. Every time I shoot the ball, Trick Shot, shoot the ball.
During the 1940s, when Theresa was in high school, girls did not run track. That is an astounding fact when you consider that she led Tuskegee Institute to 4 straight conference track championships, even though she had never run track before. Tuskegee's track team dominated the sport and was unbeatable in the U.S. They became the prototype for black and white higher education sports training for women. Manuel set a 50-yard indoor hurdles record that has yet to be broken.
She was playing basketball at Middleton, and that's what she went to Tuskegee for. However, while she was there, idling one day, they asked her to come and join the track team, which she did, and she ended up in history, becoming an Olympian.
We were undefeated in track. We were undefeated in basketball. So we went to national AAU meets, and we would always win. We never lost a basketball game, never lost a track meet.
Manuel's superb athletic ability and record holder status earned her a spot on the 1948 U.S. Olympic track team. She also became a part of the master plan to attract attention to black colleges. After Jesse Owens' outstanding Olympic performance, a news reporter called black colleges to action. He said the development of one superstar would generate far more national and international visibility and fame for black colleges and blacks than would the football classics. This reporter focused on the worldwide attention the fact that 18 African-American athletes participated in the 1936 Olympics. 10 of those athletes won 14 Olympic medals, including 8 gold medals. Tuskegee and Coach Abbott produced 4 of the 10 elite African-American women selected to the U.S. Olympic team. Theresa Manuel was one. Theresa and 9 other African-American women boarded the SS America bound for London and the 1948 Olympics. Among these women was Tennessee's Alice Coachman, the first African-American woman to win an Olympic gold medal. In 1948, there were 1 million people who could have watched the Olympics. Since it had been 12 long years since the 1936 Olympics due to the World War, America was ready to follow the Games. Just before the Games started, another amazing event occurred. By executive order, President Harry Truman ended military segregation on July 26, 1948. 3 days later, on July 29th, the Summer Games began. The master plan had a perfect stage for the black athletes to shine. In the first post-war games, Theresa represented the United States in 3 events: 80-meter hurdles, third leg in the 440-yard team relay, and javelin throw. Her javelin throw qualified her to compete in the finals and become the first African-American woman ever to actually compete in javelin throwing. Her Olympic throwing distance was 33.82 meters. Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King Jr. would not make the civil rights movement publicly known for another 7 years. However, the country and the United States president knew what a milestone the ladies had achieved. President Harry S. Truman invited the Olympians to the White House for dinner in 1948. In 1949, Theresa graduated from Tuskegee Institute and headed back to Tampa, her ailing mother, Middleton High School, and making money. She began her coaching career. There, she focused on her competitive spirit and developing winners of the young people she coached. She coached the girls' basketball team through 3 state championships.
Well, whenever we played, I'd tell the girls, I say, I never lost a game, we're not going to lose one tonight. They said, no, Miss Man, we're not going to lose, we're going to win this one. I said, thank you. That's how I did it.
All of her students, her former students, the impact that she's made on her students that she taught in Middleton, and she also taught at Hillsborough High School. She taught for 38 years. She was 21 years at Middleton and 17 years at Hillsborough High School. Every student always has something very good to say about her. She was a great PE teacher. That's their favorite coach. She listened. She was very direct when it came to basketball and everything. She was a strong coach. She did not play any games, and they hold her in the highest esteem. In other words, the old saying, when E.F. Hutton speaks, everybody listens. So when Theresa Manuel spoke, everybody listened, and they listened to whatever she said, and they did whatever she said.
Back in that day, the men were the men physical education teachers, the women were the women physical education teachers. But she had a major impact on all students because of who she was, how she carried herself, and how she just spoke to you when she spoke to men and women.
In 1975, Manuel makes history again by leading a successful initiation of girls' track and basketball teams at Hillsborough High School. She told her Hillsborough teams that she did not lose at Tuskegee. She did not lose at Middleton. You are not going to lose tonight. Go out there and win. And they did.
Theresa Manuel was an amazing lady. Not only was she a tremendous Olympic athlete that we all wish we could aspire to be. We know that doesn't always happen for all of us, but she did it. And what an amazing story for her to do it in the time that she did it. And then not only did she could have rested on her laurels and she could have said, I'm an Olympic athlete and look at what I've done. But what she chose to do is come back to her community. She came back to her community and she gave back. You know, she was a great teacher and basketball coach and did great things for girls and Theresa Manuel should be honored for that. I mean, not just for what she accomplished as a great athlete herself, but what she did in giving back to her community.
Anyone who knows her as a teammate, coach, or friend says with conviction that Theresa A. Manuel is a winner, and she is all about the children.
She'll ask you to do things, and everything she's asked me to do was for children. As you know, I'm a 31-year veteran in the public school system. I felt as though that she had a lot of opportunities to ask me to do other things, but she focused on students, children. Every time she's asked me to do something, it's all about children. I can't help but to admire her for that.
In 1979, even though she has a humble spirit, She used her celebrity status to support the dreams of young people by lending her name to what was originally called the Manuel Relays, now known as the Manuel Griffin Frondorfer or MGF Games, with 27 Hillsborough County schools participating.
She gave her name, her brand, to a high school track and field meet, which is a classic now. It's one of the go-to meets if you run a track in high school.
Over the years, she rooted for and supported many students. One was Jeremiah Green, a triple jumper who won the state championship as a junior and senior. He went on to become the SEC champion as a sophomore at the University of Alabama. Theresa A. Manuel's name was also used for local and national efforts that benefited countless people around the country. Theresa was a guest of Governor Jeb Bush, his parents, President George H.W. and Barbara Bush, at the unveiling of the Verizon literacy poster aboard one of the Carnival Cruise Line ships in Miami. The Olympic Committee of the state of Florida used Manuel on the cover of the bid book presented to the National Olympic Committee.
When the committee was formed to bring the 2012 Olympics to Tampa, apparently her name came up because two ladies that were working on the committee were personal friends of her and knew about her history in the Olympics. But Tampa at that time really did not know of her as an Olympian. They knew she was a coach, a high school basketball coach. And they gave her name to Mr. Ted Turinchek, and they contacted her. And she was made the poster person to be put on she was on the bid book that was presented to the United States Olympic Committee when they came to review the area.
The legendary message that is paramount to Theresa A. Manuel is to be a winner.
I just wanted to be a winner. Sure about that I can do. Maybe some thought I wouldn't do that I did do. Sometimes I would try me to come up to me. I said, just believe you're gonna win. Don't go out there and get down. You get down, say I'm gonna win this. And everything in mind, she's gonna be a winner, not a loser. Give her inspiration.
Her legacy needs to be taught to the generation we have now that needs to understand that she set a ground roadmap for a lot of black women who are now in the Olympics. She was one of the first ones there. So that legacy must be taught, that legacy must go on, that Theresa Manuel is who she is and what she meant to not only blacks in Hillsborough County, but blacks across this world.
The young people need to know who she is, what she did, how she acquired it, what she accomplished. And maybe there's somebody's child that her story will help them on their journey in life. I love her dearly. She's like a mother to me, and she deserves her story to be told, and children need this today. They need a lot of Theresa Manuels to be in their life, to show them how to play the game, how to play it fairly, how to win, and how to go on and succeed in your life.